Rivers State's partial military ruler, a retired Vice Admiral and former Nigeria Chief of Naval Staff, Ibok-Ete Ekwe Ibas on Thursday evening made his maiden statewide broadcast, calling on any troublemakers apparently speaking directly to the militants who have been linked to the destruction and bombing of crude oil pipelines in the state, to desist from such act henceforth because his government is appointed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a sole administrator in Rivers State and approved by both the House of Representatives and the Senate of the National Assembly on Thursday, has no patience to act against any action that threatened the peace, social and economic stability of the oil-rich Rivers State. This, former presidential spokesperson on new media, Bashir Ahmad revealed that it was under the leadership of former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2018 that the National Assembly repealed and enacted a new law that gave the president the powers to suspend an elected sitting governor and lawmakers in the State House of Assembly, but, by Nigeria legal system, the acts enacted by the National Assembly automatically becomes noid and void when the acts or laws enacted by the National Assembly contradicted or violated any section of the Nigeria 1999 Constitution as amended. According to Bashir Ahmad, former presidential spokesperson on new media, through his ex-social media handle on Wednesday, in February 2018, the Nigerian Senate passed the Emergency Powers, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018. The act says, the President may, with the approval of the National Assembly, suspend a state governor or the local government chairman in an emergency area during an emergency period. The sole administrator of Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ekwe during his maiden address after assuming office in Port Harcourt assured residents that he is not in the state as a partisan actor or political competitor that led to the declaration of the state of emergency in the state, but as a stabilizing force to restore governance and order in the south-south state of Nigeria. The partial military governor, Ibas, issued a stern warning against crude oil sabotage and violence, urging residents to resist any temptation to return to past hostilities. For decades, I have dedicated my life to the service of our great nation, first as the 20th Indigenous Chief of Naval Staff and later as Nigeria's High Commissioner to Ghana. I answered this call out of the need for peace in Nigeria, and most importantly, in Rivers State, Ibas stated. He acknowledged the hardships faced by families and businesses due to the prevailing uncertainty. As a son of the Niger Delta, I am one of you. I feel the weight of this crisis on families, businesses, and the future of our people, he said. Ibas commended President Bola Tinubu's decisive action in declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State, stressing that it was a necessary move to restore stability and revive economic activities. My mandate is clear: restore law and order, ensure stability, and create an enabling environment for economic growth. But this mission requires collective support from all stakeholders, regardless of political affiliation or ethnicity, he stated. He discouraged attacks on oil infrastructure, reminding residents of the devastating environmental and economic consequences of such actions. The Niger Delta has moved beyond the destruction of oil facilities. We must resist the temptation to return to those ugly days, he cautioned. While pledging to uphold civil liberties and the rule of law, the sole administrator warned that lawlessness and violence would not be tolerated. We will not act arbitrarily, but we will not hesitate to deal decisively with anyone who threatens the peace and stability of Rivers State, he declared. Ibas revealed that he had concluded a State Security Council meeting where strategic measures were outlined to de-escalate tensions and prevent further conflict. Expressing gratitude to President Tinubu for entrusting him with the responsibility, he also acknowledged the National Assembly for approving the emergency declaration. I will work closely with the national leadership under the guidance of the President. I am optimistic that Rivers State will emerge stronger and greater, he concluded. We had reported that the Nigeria lawmakers in the lower chamber of the House of Representatives have approved the proclamation and declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State, along with the 6-month suspension of Governor Wike-Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the Assembly, as announced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday night. We had reported that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu aide, Nyesom Wike, who is the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, and the immediate past governor of Rivers State, that is widely believed to be the apparent root cause of the political crisis in the state, who, shortly after the swearing-in of Governor Wike-Fubara, Wike helped to the seat of power, was accused by the sitting governor, Wike-Fubara, of trying to use the State House of Assembly to frustrate and impeach him from office, simply because he, Fubara, refused to accept certain terms and conditions they both had in private, which, till now, both refused to tell the public the apparent personal political misunderstandings that made the governor, Fubara, to resort to self-defense by thus applying some measures within his powers as the governor to frustrate and stop his impeachment from the probably instigated Rivers State House of Assembly lawmakers, whose majority of them, up to 27 members, are seemingly loyal to the FCT minister, who, Wike, a few days ago, was the person that announced through the media to the general public that if an Ijaw son, Wike-Fubara, is impeached, nothing would happen, a statement he made, suggesting he may have conspired with the lawmakers to impeach the governor, because by his statements during the press conference, he was probably already doing damage control even when the House of Assembly has not served the governor an impeachment notice. But, in the face of the foregoing facts, the Nigeria Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, at a press briefing a few hours ago at the State House in Abuja, exonerated the FCT minister and said categorically that the FCT minister has no hand in the political crisis that has engulfed the oil-rich Rivers State, leading to militants bombing crude oil pipelines to destroy Nigeria's economy, probably as a way of protesting against the federal government's seemingly one-sided style of handling misunderstandings in the state. We had reported that two female lawmakers, Marie Ibok-Ete, PDP, Bayelsa State, and Blessing Amadi, PDP, Rivers State, on Wednesday engaged in a heated argument, almost leading to a fight at the National Assembly ahead of the plenary session scheduled by the National Assembly leadership to discuss, approve, or reject the proclamation of state of emergency declared on Tuesday night by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu over the apparent personal political crisis between the state governor, Wike-Fubara, and Tinubu's aide, Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister and the immediate past governor of the South state. We had reported that the former vice president of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, and former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, both of whom were co-contestants as presidential candidates in the last presidential election in Nigeria, have reacted to the state of emergency and suspension of elected government in Rivers State by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with Atiku accusing and describing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a vested partisan actor in the political turmoil engulfing Rivers State. We had reported that the Nigeria President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a nationwide broadcast on Tuesday evening, for the first time more than a decade in the history of the West Africa country, declared a state of emergency in Rivers State and suspended for initial 6 months the governor, Wike-Fubara, and his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, all elected members of the State House of Assembly, and appointed retired Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ekwe Ibas as administrator to work with the existing laws of Rivers State with the members of the state judiciary following the apparent personal political crisis between the Rivers State governor, Wike-Fubara, and his former boss and the immediate past governor of the state, Nyesom Wike, who is currently the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, that was seen a few days ago in a viral video apparently making careless statements as a government official, statements capable of instigating a particular ethnic group against the government, wherein the FCT minister has said thus, that Ijaw people, a minority group in the South, and if their son, Fubara, is impeached, nothing would happen. After the statements, Wike refused to apologize to the Ijaw people despite public outcry and condemnations. Days after, as confirmed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, some militants started destroying crude oil pipelines in Rivers State as media reports trends and indicated that pro-Wike lawmakers may have concluded plans to impeach Governor Wike-Fubara.
Let me be clear. Under my leadership, civil liberties and fundamental human rights will be respected and protected. The rule of law will remain sacrosanct. However, those who seek to sabotage the social or economic stability of Rivers State and national infrastructure and institutions within the state, or who attempt to disrupt the peace for selfish or destructive ends, will find no tolerance for their actions. There will be no room for lawlessness, no space for violence, and no patience for actions that threaten our collective well-being. We will not act arbitrarily, but neither will we hesitate to enforce the law where necessary. Let no one be in doubt. We will uphold justice and fairness, but we will also ensure that civil order prevails.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.